Today is a very exciting day. It marks day one of me introducing a project that's been on hold for a while. In 2018, I was able to take a week to myself and do some small town documentary photography. I literally went door to door to try to get past the surface level of what was happening in some small towns that I was traveling through to see what sort of photography I could come up with. Turns out it's very hard work and it takes a lot more hours than I have in a typical day as a family man with more responsibilities than I can keep track of. I just have way too many constraints on my time to be the sort of documentary photographer that I wish I could be. But since now I can do this full time, I get to finally really focus on it, even if it's just for a little while. I learned a lot of things last time I worked on this project, so I think I'm in a better position this time. When I tried to get into people's doors to get a peek into their lives last time, my pitch was that I was interested in seeing how folks in modern small towns were living in really old historic homes. I found that juxtaposition extremely interesting, and while I still do, I am more interested in seeing how people relate to artifacts of their existence that are important to them, rather than just the places that they live in. So this time, the pitch that I'm gonna lead with is that I'm a documentary photographer working on a project concerned with how people in small towns and the objects that mean the most to them in their existence relate. I'm gonna ask if I can photograph them with objects that mean the most to them, and that could be heirlooms, prized possessions. In some cases, I'm expecting it to be vehicles, or it could just be photos. I'm not really sure, but I'm really excited to see what we find. In addition to the strategy adjustment, this time I designed business cards that I can share with people to put them more at ease. It's asking a lot to invite people to share their personal lives and get a bit vulnerable with a complete stranger, and I need to find as many quick ways as I can to help them feel more at ease and bring some legitimacy to what I'm doing. And I'll also be dressing a little bit more professionally, which is hard for me. For this project, as far as gear goes, I'm going to be sticking with just one lens and one camera for all photography, and that is my two absolute favorite documentary tools right now, the Fuji X Pro 3 and what has become sort of my best friend lens, the 16mm 1.4 Prime. The X Pro 3 really is perfect for documentary photography, and I'll be giving you my full review from a documentarian perspective of this camera in a couple weeks. I'm taking my time with that review because I really want to present this camera from the perspective of the type of photographer it was designed for. This camera has been reviewed to death by so many YouTubers who don't shoot documentary, reportage, street, that sort of photography, even event photography, but that's who this camera was designed for. So I'm excited to share with you that perspective, but I'm even more excited to have this tool with me as I head out to capture some imagery. And as far as the 16-1.4, since a lot of my focus on this project will be documenting people and their relationship with objects, that means getting close to people and observing the way they look at or describe things that mean a lot to them. I need a wide frame to do that, but I also need close focus, and in most cases, the lighting in these small town homes isn't great, so I need low light gathering ability. So this really is the perfect lens for those situations. And even outdoors in the streets of these towns, I just love the wide field of view that this lens gives for capturing scenes. As far as behind the scenes video, which I certainly plan to capture, I'm going to be using this great combination that I've come to really enjoy, the little Canon EOS RP and the EF 24mm 2.8 lens. This lens is great because it's stabilized and it has the wide field of view that I need to both film myself and what's happening in front of me, and the RP has adequate electronic image stabilization, but it's small and also very necessary. It has the flip screen. So while it's not my favorite, I don't get excited about this setup by any means. It really is the most practical tool I have for kind of behind the scenes vlog style stuff. I'll also be using the GoPro Hero 7 to be a little bit more inconspicuous at times. So that's the plan and the tools. I'm about to head out to my first town, and I'll share that adventure with you in the next video. Stay tuned.